Welcome to a video podcast. This one is very special. My name is Huda and I work with SELCO Foundation, and I'm very happy to be in conversation today with Minha Khan. So she is the project lead at Prime Rural, which is part of MBMA, which is the Meghalaya Basin Management Authority. So Minha, why don't you get started by telling us about Prime Rural, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you so much, Huda. I'm very happy that I came here and met you all guys at SELCO Foundation. So about Prime and Prime Rural, it's a very interesting concept. It's the entrepreneurial arm of the government, Prime. It is under MBMA, which is Meghalaya Basin Management Authority. It is a company of Government of Meghalaya, under which there are a lot of programs like Meglai, Focus, and one of them is Prime. Prime is for the promotion of market-driven enterprises. So it was to promote entrepreneurship as a, something that the youth would want as their, instead of the conventional jobs, and they would take up entrepreneurship. So Prime was started, and instead of any normal scheme per se, the government wanted to start a concept of startup hubs. So Prime Urban became one of the startup hubs for the government, whereby the entrepreneurs came to the startup hub, received the support like mentorship, training, funding, and so on and so forth in order to scale. And over time, in this time also we did something called, we are still doing, which is a flagship program called Chief Minister E-Championship. It's like Shark Tank. So people come there and we select 25 to 50 champion entrepreneurs from across the state initially, and the scaling happens accordingly. But over time, what the government realized is that the 79.86% of Meghalaya's population is rural. So the rural community was not able to come to the startup hubs and receive that support. Hence, this initially a fellowship program was initiated just to find out the problem statements across the state. Because if I meet an entrepreneur ABC, I will ask a problem, you will give me 2 answers, another will give me 3 answers. So in order to really encapsulate all the problem statement at one place, that fellowship program was started, and then it was kicked off. And in the process is when Prime Rural took birth, which is a doorstep incubation support. Because in the problem statements that we were coming across, we realized that there was no systematic way of really addressing these problems in context of implementation strategy. And so in Prime Rural, what we began doing is that we take care of as basic as books of account, registrations and licensing. We will sit with an entrepreneur and get their FSI license. If they require GST, we'll help them with GST, get them partnership firm, private limited. We help them with business plan canvases, we help them with product development, we partner with third party and get them logos, labels, nutritional checks, standardization, bright packaging. We innovate in packaging also in the process. We get them trainings, but not just the conventional trainings that's going around in the government. We send them outside the state with IHM, Mawkhar, and we help them with market linkage. And in marketing, we are one of the leading initiatives, and maybe in the India from the government side, which does a very exhaustive and aggressive marketing. We go to every festival that comes in the state, sometimes nationally, internationally, and now we do not even apply anywhere. People call us saying, Prime Rural entrepreneurs, can you set up a stall? So we set up a mini village trying to represent more than 100 plus, 80 plus entrepreneurs in that one to two stalls, and trying to curate it in a different manner. And with market linkages and marketing, we also realize that in all the incubation process, we forget that in a state like Meghalaya, when it rains, then the shed will break. What will my entrepreneur do with 5 lakh not having access to right built environment or the right architect to help them, how the built environment should be like, from where should the guy get the machinery, and from where should they get the electricity, because we have a lot of issues with electricity. And that is when the beautiful partnership with SELCO started, whereby we give them built environment, solar and machinery. Now with this Prime Rural concept, I'm really happy to say that in past 2 cohorts we have incubated 280 plus entrepreneurs, and all these entrepreneurs their impact assessments are done in a manner where jobs are created. In the first cohort, around 89 plus jobs were created by just the soft support and the technical support and that we were giving. And now Prime Rural is on a path of scaling, and with the vision that we don't want to call them artisans and farmers anymore, we want to call them entrepreneurs. So we want to break the glass ceiling of the concept of startups and make sure that they are called entrepreneurs instead of farmers and artisans.
Sure. No, that's brilliant, and it's also really interesting because in a day and age where most incubators are, set in universities or they set in urban, peri-urban areas, you're really kind of taking the idea of innovation to a very grassroots, doorstep, grounded level, right? And more so in a state like Meghalaya. Can you maybe expand a little bit more, given the context, the challenges, the cultures, the languages, like how does, an incubator model actually kind of scale deep along with scaling wide? Can you talk a little bit more about the context of Meghalaya and what makes it unique, both in terms of innovation opportunity as well as entrepreneurship?
That's an interesting question because very few people know about Meghalaya per se. It just gets lost in the noise of Northeast. So even if you go to Janpat in Delhi, where everybody have those emporium hubs are there, Meghalaya doesn't have an emporium hub yet. But we are opening it in next couple of months. So Meghalaya is that much disconnected in the context of market. So though it looks like a negative point, it is also one of the biggest opportunities that Meghalaya has, and that's what my team and we are doing. That is using that opportunity because the market is waiting for us, and that's what we realized, that when we started stepping in, we didn't have trouble in selling, marketing the products because everything was very unique. So in this model, there is one fellow and two associates. These two associates are locals, so that language barrier goes away. And the fellow is from the outside of the state, so that from outside the state you get that knowledge base that comes in, and two fellows from locally, so that they bring in that local context. In the second cohort, what we did, we promoted that local associate as a fellow. We broke that conventional concept of fellowship also because we wanted to bring in youth leaders. So that is one point I want to emphasize, that while expanding on incubation model in a place like Meghalaya, we have to realize that not only processes work, you have to build people. And how do you build people? You can't be just holding seminars to build people. You build people by making the part of the process, build upon them so that they start taking up leadership positions as they move forward. And as we speak now, with this third year coming in, they are now district coordinators, a lot of them. So that leadership got built, as a result of which we are confident about the scaling, which is from 8 blocks we went to 12 blocks, now we are going to all 56 blocks, because now we have coordinators who get what is supposed to be done with a core team that is expanding. So one aspect of scaling in Meghalaya was to really look into the factor that you have to build the local capacity. And how do you build that local capacity? We all talk about it, but this was like practically we had to implement that part. And the second aspect, how Meghalaya as a unique place has helped us as an incubator, is that there are so many local innovation already existing, that there are hidden gems, which we had a program recently called Ruralpreneur, where we did an unconventional launch of 143 plus products of rural entrepreneurs. There the tagline of Ruralpreneur was discover the hidden gems of Meghalaya, and so we made like very brilliant branding, and school students, people from Shillong were very curious. They said, we did not know this is in my state, we did not know this is in my state. So there are so many things in Meghalaya that Meghalayans themselves don't know. So when we are in a festival, I myself, I am always the seller in festival, by the way. So usually when someone comes and starts talking to me, they're like, you're the project lead. So I was like, yeah. And then a Meghalayan person will be like, I'm from Meghalaya, I know these products. I always tell them, give me 5 minutes, I promise you, I'll surprise you. And then after 5 minutes, they'll be like, what, my state has this also, this needs to be promoted. So this is where the opportunities were found, inside the state and outside the state. Right. Inside the state, we realized that our own people did not know. And second aspect being tourism is expanding in the state, so there are a lot of influx of people coming from outside the state. So we need to market it inside the state also very exhaustively, set it up in different tourist spots. This is what we are doing, establishing different infrastructures and near different tourist spots so that these products can be sold. Outside the state, we are opening stores in Delhi and things like that. So, and all of this is only possible with a synergy inside the state. You have to work with the departments, you have to work with MSRLS, you have to work with skill department, and you realize everybody has the same vision, but you have to take that ownership and start working with them and try to figure out that alignment happens.
Right.
So for me, scaling has been possible, and it is possible on a bigger scale as well, because synergy exists. Lot of unique opportunities in Meghalaya exist, and the youth is taking ownership to help their own people. It's not right just coming from outside, somebody is saying I'll help you. Rather, the youth is only taking up ownership. And most importantly in all of this, the entrepreneur is taking ownership, because it's a very individual driven state with their own identity. So when you give them their own brands, their own facade, they feel very good that this is mine. And once they have it, then you can tell them, come under a bigger brand if you want. So that choice and the beauty of the essence of entrepreneurship, if you let it seep in, it helps you.
Right. Great. No, I think the soul of it is, you mentioned the beauty, the essence of entrepreneurship, undoubtedly. Before I go into a little bit more about, because you spoke a lot about convergence, alignment, working across different departments, because what you're doing is so complex, right? It's not as simple as, you pick someone, you build a brand. There's a lot of context involved in terms of the terrain, logistics, supply chain, like really taking the products to market. Before we go into that, if you can expand a little bit more. So you spoke about the uniqueness of the products, the brand, the potential opportunity with marketing. Maybe a few examples about the products, the brands, just in terms of what sector segments really the opportunities are in.
So I usually give this example a lot. So there's something called red rice tea.
Okay.
So when we met that entrepreneur, she used to sell it in a plastic packet, like small plastic packet. It's an ancestral drink of Jaintia's people. But when the Britishers came, it kind of got lost, and the novelty, because of commercialization, got like really popularized. But she used to still sell it like in her conch shop, like small shops, that just because her grandmother used to make it. And when we met her, and now with the fellowship, what happens is you have people from diverse background coming and working. We had an architect with us who had done product designing as one of her working. So she decided to work a little bit on bamboo packaging for her. Now today, as we speak, then we prototyped here and there. Now that bamboo packaging is a product that has become out. Rita Sten red rice tea. So Rita Sten's Cottage is the brand that we created. And then red rice tea, it smells like coffee, it energizes like coffee, but it's caffeine free. So these kind of things are ancestrally USP are existing in the state, we did not know. Now it's in bamboo package, very premium, that finance ministry, different, everyone is ordering. So now I just know I need to set up certain stores here and there, people will be very fascinated. Same, there is something called Mawkhar stone. It's a pink stone, a marble, which is found only in Meghalaya. And so there is and that is a hand carver who makes it. So those products with beautiful branding, the storytelling. So when we did, today he's making for universities big products out of it. And when he was in Startup Mahakumbh, you have no idea, he became a star on its own. And then we have something called, very few people, I want to take this opportunity to talk about Meghalaya. So I am being the brand ambassador here. There is a range of caffeine free teas in Meghalaya. There is bale tea, roselle tea, red rice tea, soya tea, then lemongrass tea. Now all of this, do you know, it's not that somebody came and said, oh, you should do caffeine free teas because it's good for your health. No, there is something called Seventh Advent Church over there. So they do not have caffeine, as a result of which they keep caffeine free teas. So they do training also so that you learn about how to make caffeine free teas. And then it turned out there were products on their own. and then you build upon it. So that way the indigenous products in the state have become their own brands. Rikshi, we recently gave her built environment solar machinery with her brand. She's now shelved in Delhi. That bale tea. Now everybody wants that bale tea because they're like, acha, it's good for sugar patients. It's very calming. It's hot places I can have. That is abundant in Meghalaya. For them, it's not like I'm just picking something which is very difficult to make. No, with the right resources that we gave them, with the right connect we gave them, it's happening now. So that way, I think these are the couple of brands that, like one of them is Umbai oil. So this oil is a traditional oil. I think every state has a traditional oil because of our ancestors. We all. But then even I remember I had gone to Egypt. There was a community that was selling oil in a polythene. So over there also I ended up promoting what we do in our state. They took our numbers. It's like, please you help us put it in the right packaging. And today with the Mumbai oil that is from in one of the villages in Shela block in East Khasi Hills, it's packed in a very premium bottle with brilliant branding, and it's getting tested at NBRI to get its certification. So I think bringing them to the organized entrepreneurial ecosystem, these are few of the examples that we have been able to see rise. And in the process you have handicraft, handloom, because if I start talking I'll just keep on talking about it. So for the brand things, these are the unique things about Meghalaya. It's actually full of uniqueness only. It's just that more opportunities the state will get, they will expand, like having more centers for processing and so on and so forth. They will go at different heights because the people are touched with very beautiful and amazing.
Great. So I think you've touched upon food processing, a little bit on textile, craft, local economy businesses, and a couple of times you've mentioned, clean energy efficient equipment, you've mentioned green building design. And I think the interesting part about, Prime Rural and this program is that it doesn't look at climate smart solutions as an afterthought or something which is alien or outside the incubation process. It's kind of incorporated climate smart thinking as a core part of the entrepreneurial journey. Can you expand a little bit more on that? Like, why has it become such an integral part, and how have you is it just a default need and therefore, or is it something that you had to promote specifically and both internally and to the end users and entrepreneurs?
There's something selfishness involved here as well.
Go ahead.
The thing is that me and a couple of my team members, we are very obsessed with sustainability, and very few people know I was born in Meghalaya. My dad was posted here when I was born. Every alternate month almost, I travel extensively to the 12 blocks of the state, and we travel so much. In the rivers we see these tin bottles, the plastic packets, and going around, and it really, it's not me just talking about we shouldn't use plastic. It does hurt you when you see those things, because the state is so beautiful, but you also know there's a big responsibility on your head coming from Prime Rural, because so many entrepreneurs are joining you, which from the beginning we knew in our bones that it will scale. So it was very important from the beginning to have certain ethics and principles sorted about what we want to do in context of how we want to promote these market-driven enterprises. One was, and it's actually like a fact thing, we do not let the usage of plastic in the products. So we will source from Swiss Pack for the recyclable plastic. We spend, and we are hoping that more people will step up. Sustainability will pick up as a commercial thing as well, so that we are able to source those packaging as a cheaper cost. But right now we incur that extra cost just because we want that sustainability aspect to go in the heads of the entrepreneurs, like absolutely and completely. So one is that we believe in sustainability in context of product development also. So when it starts from something as product development, you know that even when I'm thinking about having a built environment, I will think about sustainability, and the kind of machines I'm giving, I'll think about sustainability. So it was a very organic and a natural process, and coming in collaboration with SELCO then felt more organic, because I didn't have to Now tell somebody about it. Now when you go to a blacksmith's place, that guy is inhaling so much of fumes. Now that's basic empathy. I feel people who support sustainability or clean energy, there's nothing fancy about it. It's basic empathy. If you go there, you will say, I need clean energy. So when you go to a blacksmith's place, you want those blowers to be not harming his health, the ventilation to be there in the built environment so that he can breathe, because most of these blacksmiths are doing it as an ancestral thing. So they are quite old also. So, and we do not go down to these businesses, because in the fancy incubation sector, nobody is going to think about blacksmiths. And we'll be like, हाँ ये livelihood का है, छोड़ दो करके. So I think it was very organic for us, because it is very principled in the project itself. And clean energy, built environment, and machines to be in the same direction was again organic, because we wanted it, and partnering with the SELCO became something that they had the expertise, like you had to tell us that this is possible, because we don't have, we just had it like we want it, but I don't know how to have it. So this partnership helped us actually get access to these things through that level of expertise.
Right. And I think and you mentioned a few times, right, you spent a little extra, and you had to go all the way, and you're hoping that things really normalize. And I think one is the context itself, where the transaction costs are quite heavy. The second is the local culture, the groundedness, the reach that you have, which is really block level. It's kind of really reaching out to every village. And the third is really the sustainability component, right? I think the question on many people's mind is, how is this financed? What is the logic of the subsidy? Like, what is the logic of the financing? Is it financed? What is the contribution? So I think if you can expand a little bit more on what is the financial model, what is unique about it, why is that financial model needed for such a program to really run?
Yeah. So as a Prime Rural, as a project, right now it's government funded. The government is putting in the effort, because it's beautiful about my government, Government of Meghalaya. The government is one of the biggest risk takers, because they really like.
It's not something that you hear of.
No, because our Chief Minister himself is an entrepreneur, was an entrepreneur, so he believes in entrepreneurship, risk taking, innovation a lot. My immediate boss, Vijay Kumar sir, he's the CEO of MBMA. Like, you give him crazy ideas, I want to do this, he will be like, okay, go ahead, do it, try it out. So having bosses who understand that innovation is the essence of trying to do something which is required for the state, and you have to take certain risk, gave birth to government financing the project per se. However, when the government takes this much amount of risk, it's again, I think, very fortunate for us that few partners did step up. Who said, okay, we will also help out. And I'm hoping more partners will now step up, because with the government and an environment so conducive like this, we can always have more partners that have the same alignment. So in this partnership, specifically with built environment, solar and machinery that we have with SELCO Foundation. So MBMA puts in, Meghalaya Basin Management Authority puts in 50%. Then 20% is by SELCO Foundation. 25% is a LIFCOM loan. It's a loan mechanism of Government of Meghalaya, which is zero interest loan. And 5% is a user contribution. Why it is so beautiful? It's not necessary to look at the numbers of the distribution, that can always change and things like that. But it is how it is distributed, because it gives ownership to the entrepreneur. Second, it also makes them take loans so that you will pay back, that entrepreneurial angle of paying back. There is a subsidy angle from a partner, because the partner believes in the same vision. But they are not only subsidizing, but they are also providing us expertise in, like, just say how to make the DPR, getting the DPRs, assessments, and so on and so forth, the technical expertise that the government, even with the vision like this, would lack. And then the government stepping in and saying that I will put in my subsidy, I will take in the risk. So this becomes a very beautiful model, where so many stakeholders come in and put in their energies and finances in order to really make it happen, which I feel is replicable as we are putting the processes so simplified. It looks very complicated, you're right. Initially when we started it was very complicated, but now we are putting all the systems together, and I think we just to mention, we are launching an app and a CRM also, whereby all this incubation method, talking to our partners, how the partners are linked with us, everything will be digitized now in like next 4 to 5 months only. So that would make the model more replicable and scalable, and we envision that in a year per se, or year and a half, we would want to make it open source for all other governments as well, so that they can help the rural community and entrepreneurs in the same manner as Government of Meghalaya.
Right. No, absolutely. I think just digitizing the effort would really bring a lot more option for, not only empowering the teams, but also generating agency for end users to be able to pick and choose and rate and so on and so forth, right? So that's really exciting. So let's come to the convergence piece. So you spoke about, multiple departments. You're actually talking about a really complex ecosystem. I mean, again, I'm saying complex only because it has many moving parts, right? You're saying there's supply chain, there's logistics, there's, quality, certification, branding, and there's also a lot of hardware supply chain, servicing, things like that. And beyond that, you're bringing financing, which is actual kind of investment loan payback. You're bringing, government gap support because of certain transaction costs and other issues. You're bringing in partners as well. So, a lot of people feel that, it's very complicated to think and act from a systems lens, right? Can you expand on why this is your default mode, and what does it take to actually make it work? Like, what does it take to bring convergence on the ground, right from the grassroots level entrepreneur all the way to really making those enabling conditions work for the end user?
It's easier said than done. Sure. But I feel that generally in our society, when we set up systems, we get very obsessed with processes, which is not wrong. But we should also understand the essence of process, like where something has to be tweaked and so on and so forth. Why it worked in Meghalaya from the beginning is that we were always liberal to change processes when needed, because we knew we were piloting. That do not get so hard-lined that you are not ready to change. So it's like you are setting up a system in a manner that somebody else can understand, but not right now. Don't rush it in that manner where you will compromise on the emotions of the entrepreneur. You will compromise on the emotions of your team, because in such projects, such big expansive projects, we forget the human angle, which is involved with the entrepreneur as well as your ground team. They need to feel motivated every day, like they are on the field. Why are they on the field? Why are they doing what they are doing? Why is entrepreneur doing what they are doing? So that I feel that humanistic angle is something we always took care of from the beginning. Like from the beginning, that's why we have something called L&D, Learning and Development Manager, who usually comes from an HR background. So, those monthly catch-up calls, like the project leads going on the field a lot of times. And also for us, we have this one obsession, we have started writing it down also, like the soft things that we have done in the project in order to really centralize it. Other things like, even when we ask them to collect data, basic data, not kidding, we actually write a why. Like we boldify the why and then we write a why. Even if it comes to basic collection of revenue data, I will tell them why. Like, why is it required? So after a while, it became as a extension of their personalities, that this has to happen, like you have to think about a why. So that evilness that people have towards data, then the way you work, we had to look at the soft angles in a very detailed manner, mind you. It was not like, usually people say, world is a beautiful place, the other person was like, how? So we started breaking it down, saying that the entrepreneur needs to be motivated, the fellow needs to be motivated. So we set up certain processes for entrepreneurs to be motivated. Now we hold something like a marketing workshop in each block level marketing workshop, where all entrepreneurs come together and there is a mini networking workshop. They play games and then they exchange these. So it's not that technical also. It has that aspects of fun and everything. For fellows, every quarter we have capacity building programs. They come in, monthly checkups by our L&D. She's a little fun as well. So all of these angles we took care of, so that the human angle is taken care of. And while we were taking care of the human angle, is that one thing was, I've always told my team, be very open to failure. Like if you have failed, you have failed. It's okay. We'll figure it out later. So today I'm talking about these things very easily, but I failed multiple times to come here. Like crazily we have failed. Half of the times I was like, where are we going? So, but in that process is just that that daringness is very, very high in my team. That we will be like, chalo dekhte hain kya hoga, we'll figure it out. All of that humanistic angle in daring, setting up processes and not being stringent about processes, but at the end of the day, knowing that you have to set up processes. Like that hindsight mein remembrance ki sab ad hoc mat karo, then you are not really impacting because it should be led by somebody even if I'm not there. So that kind of thing should be there. So that human angle, and also in the hindsight knowing that processes need to be set up. So we went in the details to set up implementation strategy for everything. Like if it's bookkeeping, there are steps for that also. There are steps for product development. So my team clearly knows कि अगर logistic में intervention करना है तो ये 5 step मुझे करने हैं. If I have to do service, this is 5 steps I have to do. And then beyond this, now that we have laid down, I can now think more as well. So that part was कि जितना explore कर रहे थे उतना note down करते जा रहे थे. Like let's do this, and then more exploration. Let's do this. So I think that we kept coming back, iterating and setting up together.
No, that's amazing to know, because I think I've seen the diagnostic tool and the extensiveness of it, and I think it's so interesting that you're saying that, you know, yes, processes are important and check boxes are important, but at the end of it you're saying it is people need to know why they're doing it, and if they don't have that why, motivation and that broader goal, then it doesn't matter if you're checking the checkbox and filling the extensive tool. I think these are some amazing learnings for people who are also trying to do systems practice, systems thinking in their own way. So thank you for expanding and covering that. You also spoke about a lot of your own learnings.
Yes.
But great. So moving forward, right, like if you see, I don't know, 3-5 years down the line, what is the vision for Prime Rural? What is the vision for the program? What are some of the things that you feel would be great to be in 2030?
So the vision for 2030 till 2030 is driven by our Chief Minister, honestly speaking. He has this vision of 10 billion USD economy by 2030. And he has set up different programs across the state to achieve that vision, and Prime is one of those programs. And you know, we are bringing in investments to other programs as well, and Prime is where he wants the youth to take up entrepreneurship, set up like manufacturing units also and things like that, and really build that vision through one of the projects of Prime. So it is, one is to achieve Sir's vision through Prime. But if you go in specificality of Prime Rural per se, we want to expand to all 56 blocks now. And we want every year a cohort to run in 56 blocks, build new entrepreneurs, incubate these new entrepreneurs, and in the process keep setting up ecosystems that is required for these people to rise. That is why where you asked about servicing, printing units, they should be there in the state. So while we do all of that, we will build on the entrepreneurial ecosystem as well to set up those things that facilitate the entrepreneurs in context of them rising to the potential they can, so that they don't always have to source from outside. They can have, like, they can rely in Meghalaya itself for the different things. And in context of numbers, we want to cross 6,000 plus, and for entrepreneurs that we want to incubate. And I feel it is not a big number which is not achievable. We feel it's achievable. It's calculated in our head. We know what we are doing. It's just that we would want more partners to come in and help us achieve that. And but in the drive of reaching to 2030, not just ecosystem and entrepreneur incubation, we want to bring in lot of innovation, like lot of innovation in context of tech that helps people in sustainability as well. So we want to bring in tech whereby the environment also doesn't get harmed, But at the same time, the innovative angle of Meghalaya flourishes because that's where we lack. So 2030, I would want Meghalaya to become an example of innovation in the country, that people look up and say, you know what, sustainability and innovation can go hand in hand, and at the same time you can take care of the nature and the emotions, the traditions, and not compromise on those angles while you are scaling. So we don't want to forget why we started, how we started as we scale. So 2030 vision would be to have the same drive to the same vision and reach the numbers that I've spoken to you about. So create the ecosystem that we have spoken about, but at the same time have the same zeal and never forget why we started in the first place.
Yeah. No, definitely I think the potential for this model to be an inspiration of learnings, of actual practical, getting things done, not only in the Northeast in India, but hopefully also for other parts of the world which have very similar context to Meghalaya. And with that, one final question. So we have quite a few practitioners who watch these, who are also trying to do rural doorstep, more grounded incubators, and how do you build, inspire, as well as help grow micro, small and medium businesses in the country. So what is the one non-negotiable advice that you would give them? Like what should they be mentally prepared for, and some advice for them?
So many advices, but like two things I would just
top
two is go in the details, like go in the details of what an entrepreneur needs and become systematic in the way you implement those interventions. That can be anything, very contextual to the place they are in, but very detailed oriented and systematically implemented. And why I say detailed and systematic is that in the development sector I've seen, and with social sector as well, my dad always used to say that good people fail because they're not strategic. That he said that we are always talking about, oh, this should happen, that should happen. Like I was mentioning, mentorship should happen. But what in mentorship? So it is necessary that whoever is stepping into this field, they look into mentorship in details. What is it that you want to do in mentorship and achieve? Not for numbers sake, but for your own thing, that is it achieving what you want to achieve. So that detail, going in details and being systematic is something that I would really advise people to do that. And second is, while you do that, do not forget the human angle. That is, be empathetic. Be all innovations springs from a space of empathy. We should never forget that. You can't replicate any system if you don't have empathy for the people you are working with, because that's the crux of innovation. So have empathy so that innovation can take place, and while you're doing that innovation, be detailed and systematic so that it can sustain for yourself also, for your team as well.
No, thank you so much for expanding on that. And I think from everything that you've said and also offline, a lot of these factors are not short term, kal ho jayega or bas ho jayega. But definitely I think you mentioned being sort of that marathon player, right? Not a sprint so far, but really kind of thinking in the long term. But this has been brilliant, I think, especially because the three kind of concentric, right? You started off really talking about the soul, the essence of entrepreneurship, the culture, the emotions, and throughout I think you didn't let go of that user centricity. And the other circle concentric being the fact that it's so aligned with sustainability, environment, climate. And the third, and a lot of what you've given learnings on, is on systems thinking, systems practice, convergences. So this has been really great. Thank you so much for being here, Minha. We look forward to working together.
Thank you so much.
More learnings to come soon.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much
a
for
lot.
being
Thank
with
you,
us.
sir.